everyone, my name is Dani, and welcome to my first video of 2018! Yay! Alright, so today I'm going to talk about the best books that I read in the year of 2017, so let's get started. By the way, these books are going to be totally out of order. These are just the books that I read in 2018. I thought they were the best ones that I read this year. These are ones that are not necessarily released in 2017, but ones that I did read in 2017. So the first of those books is Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. I finally finished this book, guys. You know how long, if you've been following on my channel, you know how long I've been wanting to read this book, and I finally did it. I finally did it. I'm so excited because this ended up being such a good book. This is actually now one of my favorite fantasy novels that I've ever read. This book came about like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe, literally on the day of my birthday, or like right around my birthday. So I literally bought it then, and then it just took me forever to read it. So yeah, but now I finished it. So anyway, this book is basically about a girl named Safi and her thread sister Iseult, because as you can tell, this is a fantasy novel, so they are both witches. Now Safi is a truth witch and Iseult is a thread witch. So Iseult, I don't know if I'm saying that right, it's fantasy, so you guys know they have weird names, but I'm gonna say Iseult. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But Iseult is a thread witch, so she can see others' threads, which are different colors depending on like your mood and if you're like a good person or not. Like someone who would be like kind of evil would have like gray or black threads or something like that, and then someone who's like feeling like really happy or like they're in love or something, they would have like kind of pink threads. It's really cool. But Safi is a truth witch, so she's able to detect if someone is lying or not. Now because of Safi's ability, she's very wanted for many people, especially people in the government, because that would be a really handy political advantage to know if someone's lying or not to you. So she's just trying to avoid being found out that she is a truth witch, because the only person who really knows is Iseult and her uncle, who is also trying to protect her. Iseult and Safi are going on this huge adventure to get away from all the political figures, and they end up going on this massive journey with a prince, and it's really, really good. It's such a good adventure story, and I think it's actually a really fantastic winter read, because in the winter, I just feel like I want to read all the fantasy novels and like all the adventure stories, so this one is perfect. So I highly recommend you guys go check this out, and in 2018, I plan on reading the second book, which is called Wind Witch, so look out for that. Alright, the next two books that I'm going to mention I read during Booktubeathon. So if you watch my Booktubeathon videos, you may have already heard these books, but to reiterate, I'm going to be talking about Words on Bathroom Walls by Julia Walton. This is one of my favorite books that I have ever read about. It's about a boy who suffers schizophrenia, and he is going on a trial drug. So this book is basically a bunch of journal entries which he is entering to his therapist, because he doesn't really want to talk to his therapist about this stuff, because it's pretty hard stuff. I mean, I would understand why he doesn't want to talk to anyone, but this guy is so funny. Like, you wouldn't think a book about a guy with schizophrenia would be funny, but this book is hilarious, and it's just so funny. A lot of times you would forget he has schizophrenia, but it's really, really good. It deals with him with his struggles just going through high school in general, and then also his struggle with schizophrenia and going on this trial drug. So it's really funny, and I highly recommend it. I also really enjoyed it because I liked reading from a guy's perspective, because most of the books that I read are from the female perspective, so I thought it was interesting that I saw from a guy's perspective. So it's just a really fun read, and I highly recommend it. Okay, the next book that I read during the Booktubeathon was The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. Most of you, I think, have heard of this book or have a similar general idea of what this book is about. Basically, it's about this boy who's a freshman in high school, and he has a bunch of senior friends. He actually goes on a bunch of adventures together, and he uncovers this mystery by the end of the novel about him and his past, which of course I'm not going to say because that is a major spoiler for this book. This book had me laughing so many times. This was so funny. I didn't really expect this to be so funny, but it's so funny, but at the same time it's so difficult and hard at times, and it's very real, and I love that about this book. And it's also a very quick read. That's why I read it during the Booktubeathon. It was such a quick read. So I highly recommend this book if you have not read it, and I do think it does live up to the hype. Although, I mean, like, I think the hype is a little bit high, but I think it does mostly live up to the hype about it. So go read this. Now the rest of the books on this list I have not read during the Booktubeathon, so they're just ones that I read and I enjoyed. So the next book that I have read is Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. If you watch this channel a lot, you know I love Victoria Schwab. I've only read 2 of her books. This is the second book in her Monsters of Verity duology, and I've only read those 2 books. The first is called This Savage Song. The second is this one. I really enjoy her writing style so much. Because this book has 2 different perspectives, she intertwines those 2 perspectives so well, and I think that's such a great skill to have as a writer. And I love her characterization. Her characterization is amazing. I fall in love with the characters. That is what really gets this book for me. I'm not going to say really what this one's about because it's kind of a spoiler for what happens in the previous book called The Savage Song. If you want, I have a full-on review of This Savage Song, and I do have a filmed video review and discussion of Our Dark Duet, but I have not posted it. So let me know if you guys want to see those, and I'll post them for you. My internet stinks, so I just never got a chance to post them. But if you want to see them, let me know. But I do really enjoy the writing of the writing and the characters in this book. Oh, I just love this book so much. Please go read it, please. And my final favorite book that I read in the year of 2017 was Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jake Kristoff. Now, this is also a sequel. This is the sequel to Illuminae, of course, by both these same authors. So, again, I'm not really going to say too much about what this book is about, but I can actually say a little bit without spoiling the first one, because this book follows a new set of characters than what the first book had. This book takes place way in the future when we have a bunch of space travel, and we have a bunch of teleportation devices in space, and it's really cool, because space. So, a bunch of terrorists go onto one of these teleport stations, and they are wreaking havoc and such. So our main heroine has to go basically save all her friends and her family and stuff. So it's really action-packed, and I love how this book is written, because this book is not written in a traditional writing style. It's told in a bunch of pictures and text messages and emails and stuff like that, and it's so cool. I just think it's such a unique way of writing a story, and I love that. It almost reads like a movie because of that element to it, and I really love this book. I really highly recommend this book. Sometimes these books are a little bit harder to get into, but I would just power through it. Don't worry, it's really worth it. So that, guys, are 5 books that I read in 2017 and I really enjoyed, and I really highly recommend for you guys to go check out. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you like the content I post on this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when I post a new video, be sure to hit the bell icon right next to the subscribe button. And I guess I'll just see you guys all later. Bye!